your body will fill with light. It means if you practice meditation above the thoughts of the mind, you'll fill with wisdom and understanding. Well, they change it and say if you don't look at a girl with a bikini, you'll be filled with all kinds of niceness and you'll be a goody-goody thing, but that's not what it means. It's talking about meditation. But let's take a look at what happens here. In Matthew 22:15 on page 23. First of all, Matthew 22:14. Something I wanted to show you that I didn't cover last week, and it's a very famous line. Many are called, but few are chosen. Okay? Many are called, but few are chosen. Is that loud enough in the baby room? Okay, because I can yell louder if I have to. All right? Okay, and then they all get mad at me. You're screaming and you're yelling, but I mean, I'll do whatever. What does it mean? Many are called, but few are chosen. Who are God's chosen people?
Hello.
Do you want to play with me?
Sure. You want me to help you with your groceries? This journey with childhood.
Jews, certainly. Us. And the reason they're God's chosen people is because the tribe of Judah, of which the word Jew comes from, was situated at the east side. See, there was the north, the east, the south, and the west. They put the tribe of Judah on the east. Why? Because it was the tribe of Judah that encamped on the right side. When you look north, Judah's on the right. Therefore, God's chosen people are those who dwell on the right side. Those who encamp on the right side are God's chosen people. And many are called to encamp on the right side, but very few are chosen. Very few choose to dwell on the right side. Okay. Because most people just can't conceive of how they can. Let me tell you what the problem is of dwelling on the left side. When you dwell on the left side, you dwell with the carnal mind. And the carnal mind is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That means that there's two aspects of your carnal mind. One aspect says, oh, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to be good. That's always, that's there. There's no stop. But there's another aspect of the carnal mind that says, get lost. I ain't going down there. It's a lot of nonsense. The heck with this. I'm going to go boogaloo. I want to do this stuff. I want to listen to any of this stuff. There's always that inside of your mind that is telling you contrary to that which you think is the right thing to do. There's always that second opinion that manifests itself in your lower mind and says, nuts to this. Don't bother with that. Don't bother with this. And you can't get away from it. That's the carnal mind, because where there is a positive attitude in your carnal mind, there's also a negative attitude. That is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's why Adam and Eve were not supposed to eat of the knowledge of the tree of good and evil. Because no matter what you do, and no matter how nice it may be, when you start out in a positive way to help something or do something, before you get going very far, there'll be a negative thought coming into it. And it'll start to try to persuade you to stop it, I want to go down to Don's house because Don is out of work and he doesn't have any food for his children. So I go to the ShopRite and I buy him some peanut butter and bread and maybe some granola bars. And I take it over to Don's house. See, because that's the positive part of my mind is saying, Don is destitute. I will bring him some peanut butter. But as I am driving over to his house, the other part of my mind says, if the bum would get off his rear end and go look for a job, he would need me to buy him peanut butter. Chunky? You see what I'm telling you? And that's exactly the way it works. There's always that good part of your mind that's going to do something, but there's that other part that's going to rip it apart. And that's why you can't go there in order. Fear is an amazing thing. It's inherent. You talk about this Iraqi thing. Everybody hates this, but do you know that there's a lot of excitement builds up within people? Wow. I wonder if we could really beat them. And wow, this would be something. I can watch this on TV. It's like when a hurricane comes. Everybody... They don't want anybody to get hurt, but they really enjoy it. Come on, everybody get together. Let's batten down the hatches, And then they say, well, thank God it didn't touch my house. It touched her house instead. It veered at the last minute and blew her house right off the face of its foundation. But thank God it didn't touch mine. See? It's a carnal mind. And that's why the Apostle Paul says the carnal mind is not subject to the law of God, neither can it be. It has to, everything that you do has to come from the God mind, which is that Om we sang about, and which lies above. So God's chosen people are those who camp at the right side. That's the right hemisphere of your brain. You have two hemispheres of your brain. You have the left hemisphere of your brain, which says, this guy's a bum because he won't get out and get a job. You have the right hemisphere of your brain, which says, I will give, I will help, I will do, I will pour forth Christ. No questions asked. No questions asked, no criticism, no judgment of any kind. See? And in order to camp at the right side, you have to shut down the left. Because as long as the left side of your brain is active, it will be negative and it will throw negative thoughts at you. It doesn't make any difference if you're in the middle of meditation. Many times I get in the middle of meditation and I'm doing pretty good and I'll get a thought. And it's a screwy thought and it's just ready to pull the whole rug right out from under me. And I have to fight my way back up to the sounds or whatever to get loose from it. Because your mind is always there. And your mind is a very destructive force. Everything that happened, you remember when they attacked Kuwait? Now Kuwait and all of this stuff, these are not people of brotherly love over there. We're not going in, to save friends of the human race. These are very tough people themselves. They're not exactly the friends of ours in the past. But regardless of that, whenever this initial idea came to attack Kuwait, it started as a thought. It started as a thought and then it manifests itself into this kind of a conflict that you see going on right now. And so it is the mind that must be subdued. You can only subdue your mind through meditation. You cannot subdue it any other way. Look what happens when you go to sleep and you let go of it completely. It goes berserk. Do you ever lay there and you're asleep and sometimes you jump up, what? You got to look around and make sure there's really not somebody standing over there by the closet. There really is. And you turn the light on and it's a coat that you hung up over there. Oh, God, Then you're all sweating. You have to get up, get a drink of iced tea or whatever it is. Go out and hit the cookies and cream ice cream. The dog follows you out. He's having a nightmare. Dogs do. I don't know what the heck they have nightmares about, but they do. Because we sleep with two dogs. We have a bed. Two human beings, the nurse and myself, get in there, and there are two 75-pound Dalmatians in there. And the one dog's got his home pillow with frilly things on the end, like a doily around the edge of his pillow, Yeah, that's the way it should be. At about 2 o'clock in the morning, this dog starts to have dreams, blah, 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 and he's chasing things. And that's okay, but when you're laying right next to the dog, he's got his paws banging on top of your head. Nothing like waking up in the morning, turning over and looking into the open mouth of this big Dalmatian who's got bad breath and dogs at 2 o'clock. I don't know what kind of a carnal mind a dog has or where he was running, but at 2 o'clock in the morning, that dog was taking off. And everybody better jump out of the bed because you got two big, strong legs with big nails on them like panthers, thrashing about. So the carnal mind, the human mind, is a thing that keeps us in this camp. See, that's the Western side is the side of intellect and biblical mysticism. The Eastern side is the side of spirit, the right side. And the way that is, this is where the sun rises in the East. So the light comes from the East. Wisdom comes from the right side of your brain. What is it that puts the light out? What is it that overwhelms the sun and makes darkness? That which moves in from the West. When the West encroaches on the East, there's no more sun. And you see it happening now, but you're going to see it a lot less because now the sun is beginning to rise after its birth on December the 25th, and there'll be more and more light each day. So what this means is it is the intellect. When you start to figure this thing out and think that you've got it all figured out, it's the intellect which will override the spirit. Then you'll say, I know all about this. And you don't know anything. Or I don't know if I believe that. It's irrelevant whether you believe it. But all of that comes from this area here, where you try to figure things out and try to work things out. You can't do it. You just make a big mess out of it. But when you dwell here, you see, right here, Mr. Bush and Mr. Hussein are trying to figure out what to do for their own respective sides. But if they stay the way they're gone, thousands and thousands of men, women, and children, animals, and forests are going to be obliterated and destroyed. If they were to turn and rise up into this area of Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, whatever you want to call it, it would be all over like that. Because they're above that place where there is no thought comes the wisdom of peace and understanding. There is no possibility of shooting at anybody. Matthew 22:15. The Pharisees took counsel how they might entangle him, who is Jesus, in his talk. Jesus was a mystic. He was a Nazarene, say. And a Nazarene was a group which actually, a sect that was inherited from the Buddhists. When the Buddhists moved out of India, many Buddhists came towards that which we know as Palestine now, and they were proselytizing their religion, and they converted a group of people called the Essenes. Out of the Essenes came that which was the Nazarenes. Long time before that, before the Essenes, the Nazarenes had been touched by those same Buddhists back in the early days of what you know as Samson. He was a Nazarene. They let their hair grow long because that hair that grew out of them was a symbol of spirit. See? Jesus was a mystic. He never talked about going to church. He didn't say read a Bible. Show me where he said read a Bible. Show me where he said to go to church. He never said go to church. He never said read a Bible. In fact, he was so enamored by these great churches, he walked down the street and there's going to be one brick left laying on top of another one. He said, forget that. What was he concerned about? You, inside of you. He didn't point to some far-off God who was going to come down and save you. He said, you are the light of the world. The kingdom of God is in you. He didn't set himself up and say, look at me, I'm Jesus. I know I have hotsy-totsy stuff. I'm on Christmas cards and everything. Look at me, ain't I something? He didn't ever said that. You know what he said? You think I'm doing good stuff? I'll tell you something, Omer. The things I do, you can do too. You can do better than I do, Joey. That's the kind of guy he was. Never drew attention to himself, drew attention to you. He never came to show his divinity, he came to show your divinity. And he told you how to reach it, how to make it explode. It's within you. Raise yourself up to the upper room. Practice the single eye. And you'll fill with light and wisdom and power and understanding. That's the kind of guy he was. And the religions have never allowed him to be what he came to be. One who would bring you into the bosom of the Father and show you your divinity, your holiness, the power within you. But here come, look, the Pharisees took counsel how they might entangle him in his talk. See, Pharisees are those who interpret the Bible literally. There are still people who believe that the earth was created 6,000 years ago because the Bible says so. You know what happened? In the Middle Ages of Europe, they wouldn't allow anybody to think. If you had a book or if you said, I don't know if this is true, they threw you in jail. Galileo said, hey, wait a minute. He said, you got this wrong. He was an optometrist. He was an astronomer. He says, it's not the sun that goes, it's the earth that circles the sun. They put him in jail because it disagreed with the Bible. And he had to sign a confession. I, Galileo, sign on the Bible that I was wrong. Of course he was right. Copernicus, all of them. They were destroyed by religion. Nobody was allowed to think or to express any type of scientific thought if it in any way, shape, or form questioned the Bible. And so finally, when the Dark Ages ended, the only literature people had was the Bible. And they looked at it and they came up with the idea that everything started 6,000 years ago. They recently found in some place little mice, skeletons of some kind, 50 million years old. They could tell it was 50 million years. People had mice 50 million years ago. And not only that, there was mousetraps there. No, I added that just to see if you were paying attention. 2 little frozen mousetraps. Huh? And they're not sure, but there was scribbled in the wall of the cave, decon or something like that. That's mouse stuff. And there was no, I won't go on with this.
This professional 32 TW SSD, capable of holding the entire collection of the New York Public Library.
But there's mice 50 million years ago. What the heck would there be mice for unless there was people around with food? What are they going to eat? Well, I can't wait till people get created. Now we can go into their houses and run around in between the walls and all of that stuff. Yeah, they got to be cats. The point being, we have limited ourselves to such an extent that we actually believe. I never get people that write me and say, I disagree with you about this. My name is Joe Blow. Here's my telephone number. I always get this anonymous stuff. Yesterday, I got an anonymous thing. They put tracks in there. And the track has at the end of it 2 devils with red suits on and pitchforks. Everybody's looking out. You better straighten out or you'll be living with them. And here's these devils, with these pitchforks, looking like a Halloween costume. I said, to John, look at this. No wonder they're shooting each other. This is where they're coming from. They really believe that there are people somewhere in the earth running around chasing Andy with a pitchfork. Ah, get in there, you're not done yet. Ah. Okay. The reason that a devil wears a red suit is because red is the color of emotionalism in the Bible. And the reason he has horns is because it's a symbol, horns are a symbol of power. And what's that saying? That the power that comes from your emotions are evil. That's what the devil is. That's when you'll swing out and scream and rant and rave and kick and do all of these things and put your fist through the wall and all of these things you carry on with. That's why the Red Sea was churning, because it's a symbol of emotionalism. It's churning out of control. But when you look up, a pathway is made across the Red Sea to the Promised Land, across the emotions that are destroying you to that which is the place of God within you. All of that stuff has its beginnings in mythology. So here in Matthew 22:15, they're coming to Jesus. So they're going to confuse his question of inner communion, with rules and doctrine. See, they want to come up with a biblical question to prove their point. We've had Pharisees come here. No matter what you tell them, I'll say, well, Jesus, hey, wait a minute, pal. Wait a minute. You're giving me stodging here. I didn't say this because it was my... I said, Jesus Christ said, if your eye be single. Yeah, but what about Romans 3:15? It says here. Yeah, but Jesus, what about, and they're all over the place, and you can make a Bible say anything you want it to say. There's no doubt about that. And as I said to them, you might not agree with this interpretation, but don't tell me he didn't say it, because he did say it. Don't tell me it's not in the Bible, because it's in the Bible. Don't tell me Jesus didn't say cast your net to the right side. He said cast your net to the right side. If you want to believe he was fishing for fish, go ahead. But Jesus Christ said he was fishing for man. He's fishing for people. That means he's fishing for consciousness. And when he cast his net over to the right side, they came up with 153 fish, which is the number 9, 1 plus 5 plus 3, which is the number of human consciousness. In the Bible, in mysticism, the number of consciousness, the mystical number of consciousness is 9. That's why the sign of the beast, 666 equals 18 equals 9. If you want to see the beast, you go out into the men's room. In the ladies' room, there's a picture of him hanging over the kitchen. Just turn over the sink. Just turn the light on and look, and you see the picture of the beast. Now, there's 144,000 saved. How much is that? 1 plus 4 plus 4, 9. That means the higher part of you is the point of salvation. The lower part of you is the part of the beast. So when Jesus says cast the net over to the right side, how many fish do they catch? 153 equals 9. And that's throughout the entire Bible. You see that. Throughout the entire Bible. And so here we have a situation where people are going to try to use the Bible to confuse the issue. You see, the point is that you have got to come to the conclusion, people have got to come to the conclusion, do you have the guts to turn your back against religion and follow Jesus Christ? And most people don't. Why? Because I was born this, I'll stay this, and I'll die this. Why? Because. That's because. And because I have to live up to their standards. They expect this of me. And so my whole life is then built around a coming of impending death and a hope that after I die, I'm going to some planet somewhere. And nobody ever has returned to say that's true. On the other hand, the one who is Jesus Christ said that is wrong because God is not a God of the dead, he's a God of the living. Get yours while you're alive now and live forevermore in a higher realm of divine glory that's put right smack between your ears. But the next line here in this study is very interesting because it's the same today. You know the amazing thing? I never hear from the preachers. I always hear from their disciples. And their disciples make anonymous phone calls and send anonymous letters. But I never hear from a preacher who will call and sit down and say, never. I'll get calls from their friends. And this is exactly what has happened here. Say, I want you to notice something in Matthew 22, verse 16. Along with the religious, which are the Pharisees, okay, and these are the disciples of religion who would try to trick you out of your inner walk, there comes a group called, what's this one? And you don't see this very often. They're called Herodians. Okay? These are not religious people at all. These are people who are trying to maintain the political status quo. Okay? In other words, what has happened here are the Pharisees. Look, and they sent out unto him their disciples with the Herodians. In other words, what has happened? The religious people have joined together with those which are the worldly forces in order to trick the Christ. What has happened here in the same way where the religious will join forces with the status quo in order to keep you in line, in order to keep you from rising up into this blissful, holy place of life. They try to pull you back into the traditional. Herod is the evil influence. Look at that word. Do you see that word? I got it spelled wrong. How are you going to see that word? Why don't you say something? You sit there. Guys spelling things wrong on television, and you sit there. God.
I know a thing or two about fans, and purpose isn't something fans find. It's something they live deeply in every aspect of life. So, are you ready to talk to fans?
Watch this. Do you see something there? Herod. You know who he was? What did he do? He was the wicked influence who set about to kill all of that which was the new life, trying to kill that which was the birth of Christ. See? Now look who the religious people here have joined together with in order to come against Jesus. The religious people have joined together with that same negative influence in trying to destroy that which is being born new out of the consciousness of man. Anything they can do, whatever it takes, and they do it today. Say, it's the desire nature. What does it? It is the desire nature. It is the emotions. It is your concern about what your mother is going to think. What is my father going to think? What are my friends going to think? What is the church going to think? All concerned about those people. What are they going to think? And as that starts to move within you, you'll start to hear from them. I think you're getting involved in a cult. I mean, I heard myself when I used to wear this. After all, we were born such and such a religion. And your whole family is this way. It's always been that way. It's like being born an Italian or a German or Jewish or whatever it is. You know, after all, you're turning your back on the family when you do this. And that's what you've got to do. That's why Jesus says, I've come to set sister against brother and mother. You've got to turn your back on those old traditional concepts and move out of a new concept. See? Because if you don't, you're going to find the system and you're going to find the church. And the system in this country aligns with the church. Do you know why? Because the church is no threat to it. It is no threat to it. People go to church on Sunday. They have Bibles under their arms. How do you do, Sister Andy? Praise God. You look nice in your jeans. Aren't you something? And they strut in there, and everybody's there to cake. They wear Easter bonnets, and they go in their Christmas time, and they have big flowers, and it's very nice, but it's not a threat to the system. You're a threat to the system. You're a threat to the system. So not only do the religions come against you, the system will come against you. See? Because all of a sudden, you know, they throw words around on television. You see it. Alleged cult leader. Everybody's a cult leader if you don't agree with the system. They try to make it appear in the eyes of the masses of people that you're some kind of a screwball because you don't follow their ways. So you'll find them. They'll run and they'll ask Cardinal so-and-so what he thinks, or Pope so-and-so what he thinks, or Bishop so-and-so what he thinks. But they're not going to go to a mystic and say, what do you think? Because they'll say, don't you dabble in astrology here? Aren't you dabbling in astrology? Chunky astrology. And they come up with all of these things in order to discredit what you're doing. There are people in this town, a minister of a church, who, in order to keep people from coming here, told other people, don't go down there because they take drugs in the service. That's a fact. I'm not kidding you. That is a fact. Don't go down. Of course, he's never been here, but they take drugs in the service. And so what is that? In other words, that is to frighten somebody from coming to expose themselves to something that he doesn't even know what it's about. But he's heard that somebody said to their friend that this may be this and that may be that, so then he's convinced. That's the same way that they'll criticize, they'll come in and say, don't go to see this movie. Why? Because it's bad. It comes against Christianity. Have you seen it? I wouldn't go see it. You haven't seen it either. It's the same Dark Ages mentality. And what you have to do is go see everything. Look at everything. Read everything. Listen to everything. You make a decision. Allow your mind not to be guided by them. Jesus Christ said, wisdom is known by her children. Look at the condition of the world ever since you've been alive. When has it ever been free from violence? When has it ever been free from war? When has it ever been free from the scourges that are running rampant up, whether it be drugs or whatever it is? And Jesus Christ said, that is a product. That's the children. That's the offspring of the old way. Stop it. Bring your children into a meditation. Make your children sit. Begin to let your children know there is no damn devil. Tell them that. There is no damn hell. Tell them that. There is God, and there is only one power that exists in the universe, and that power is God. And don't let them be frightened by any crap that religion tries to shove down their throats that scare them and to keep them in line. Don't allow it. If you have to correct them, you just say, Jesus wouldn't like that. Don't bring up any junk just to frighten people. I'd say if you get 7-year-old kids, by the time they reach the age of 8, they're on a guilt trip. You've taught them there's hell. You've taught them they're going to hell, that the devil's going to get them if they don't do this. God's going to punish them. I used to, God getting mad up there. I used to be told that God was getting mad, throwing the furniture around because it was thundering. So, oh my God, this guy's really ticked off. I used to really feel this guy is ticked off. Something must have really happened. Somebody must have eaten meat on Friday or something. Boy. You know what I'm saying to you? Frightening, scaring everybody to death. Nowadays, they take them, and after they got them thoroughly scared about hell and devils and demons, you know what they do? They put them in the Little League, and then they say to them when they get in the Little League, they say, now, listen to me, little Donald. You go out there in center field, and don't you drop this ball, because don't forget, I have got this team sponsored by Joe and Phil's Tire Center, and their reputation depends on you out there catching this ball. And there you got your little jacket on, Joe and Phil's Tire Center, and you're standing out there. Don't hit it to me. Don't hit it to me. Don't hit it to me. Bang, there's the ball, and there's little Donald Water. Bang, the ball hits him on the head, and his father looks at him. There you go.
Mi nombre es Lisette Juliana Meca Delgado. Soy de Sullana y ya tengo más de 12 años viviendo acá. Acá mi hijita Astrid, ella tiene 6 años y nació con labio paladar hendido. Yo di a luz en Sullana. Yo había ido de visita a ver a mis padres y ahí me agarraron unos dolores. Cuando me la pusieron en el pecho y al toque, nomás como le vi que venía abierto. Yo me asusté porque yo no sabía nada. Y dije, ¿por qué tiene abierto? Y después con mi esposo se contactó con Caritas Felices, regresamos acá. Y acá me la operaron, acá en Lima. Le cerraron acá y su nariz, porque su nariz estaba muy chata. Y después al año que le hicieron la segunda operación, le arreglaron el paladar, le formaron la campanita y ahorita que requiere el otro año, a los 7 años, un pedacito de encilla. Y ahí bien, ella está feliz, le gusta ir al colegio, tiene bastantes amiguitos, también dice que sí juega, lo único que es un poquito tímida. Me gustaría que tenga su carrera, ¿no? Que se supere, que tenga su trabajo.
Gracias, Maite.
One second you know your dream's protected. And then...
Is everything okay?
The police have been dispatched. Well, you still do.
I told you didn't practice. You didn't approach it right. You disgraced the whole family. Disgraced Joe and Phil's Tire Center after they put that money up. There's the kid walking with his little glove. guilt trip, needing to have some kind of a tranquilizer, settle his little nerves down. Then we're going to send him to college, Joey. I want you to be a lawyer, son, so you can have a psychiatrist just like I have. Got to get all A's. He gets all C's and D's, and the kid winds up on the roof of Princeton University, and he jumps off. Funny, but true. Funny, but true. And many of your lives have been geared that same way. Pressure, 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 pressure. Never stops. Pressure, pressure, pressure to do what they want you to do. And all they're trying to do is bring you into the same realm of insanity that they exist in. But Jesus Christ said, that's not the way. The way is narrow, and it is above. And so here, when these people come to tempt Jesus and to try to catch him in all of this stuff that they're talking about, literal law and doctrine, look what they say. Now you got the Herodians, which are the con artists, and the people that are trying to represent the people that are trying to kill the spirit out of you, along with the religious. You got the Bible, the Pharisees, and you got the doctrine and the church and all this. And look what they say in Matthew 22:16. Master, we know you are true and teach the way of truth, the way of God and truth. They're liars. The religious and those who are of the flesh, they approach that which they really can't stand under a pretense of, hey, yeah, we know that you're trying your best, and some of the stuff you said I can really go along with. They're trying to get you to sit with them, trying to suck you in so that they're not really against me before they hit you with the zinger, say, because what they're trying to do is get you into confidence so that you'll sit down and then say something that they can use in order to nail you up against the wall. It's typical of the lower mind. It uses truth to press forth its deceit and its desire. See? Look what they say. And even this, they're telling the truth. And yet, neither, 22:16, neither do you care for any man, for you don't regard the person of a man. See? In other words, what they were saying and what this has come to, they recognized the fact that he didn't really care that they were bishops and cardinals and popes and monsignors and evangelists and all of this stuff. He said, who cares? Who cares? The guy that's working in the sewer, that's my deacon. That's my evangelist. Do you understand what I just said? I said the guy that's working in the sewer is his evangelist. He doesn't care about the Pharisees. He doesn't care about the popes. He doesn't care about the bishops and the monsignors. He doesn't care about all of that stuff. He doesn't regard any title whatsoever. He doesn't regard it whether you got slacks on or whether you got a skirt on, whether you got a Bible or what. He doesn't regard any of that stuff. He does not regard anything that's stuck on you from the outside. He regards it what's bursting forth from the inside. What is it? What is it? And the guy that comes out of the sewer after a hard day of work could sit down with you, and while all the evangelists are telling you, you're worthless sinner, you're going to hell, you're worthless sinner, you got to give up this, you got to give up that, you got to do all of these things, you got to go to church. This guy could climb out of the sewer and one night sit down, come over, clean himself up, come over to your house and say, you know what? Jesus said, you're the light of the world. The kingdom of God is within you. And if you focus within yourself, you'll open a beautiful part of your mind, which is the right hemisphere. The doors will swing open. You'll enter in there and you'll have wisdom and you'll actually be one with God. That's what the guy out of the sewer can tell you, that those evangelists and religious people haven't the slightest idea of anything of the kind. Jesus knew that. So he never got caught up in religion. The only time that he got caught up in religion is when he was going to disrupt the service. He used to go out in the cornfields. It was illegal to pick corn on the Sabbath. So he'd go out there with the guys. He knew where the rabbis used to hang out. And he'd wait for them to come along. He'd see about 3 of them walking out by the field. He said, okay, what are you going to do? Let's pick some corn. You can't do that. Pick it. Pick it. And he'd go over there. Are they looking? Are they looking? Yeah. Challenging them. Pick that corn. I'm picking corn out. Here's what I'm doing. You can't do that on the Sabbath. Oh, yes, I can. Picking a whole ear of corn this time. Corn on the cob. Pick them right off that, what does it come off, a bush? Whatever it comes over. Pick that corn off the cob. Don't you say nothing about that. Pick that corn right off the cob. what I'm going to do. They say, you evil person, picking corn on the cob on a Sunday. You evil person you are, you Jesus, you. Oh, little nuts you got hanging around with you. Cut your hair. The next day, come on, Sabbath day. The preacher's up there preaching on the same. You should have seen this guy we saw yesterday. You would never see anything like it in your life. What's your first name? Sherry? Sherry, you'd never seen nothing like this in your life. Such a fool out there with a white robe, all these long-haired hippies out there picking corn on the Sabbath, Sherry. I was so mortified. I said, you ain't going to heaven. You ain't no good guy, God guy doing stuff like that. Well, he's preaching up there, it says in the Bible, the door opens. Guess who's sitting there with corn all over his face? What he said, here I am. What are you coming in here for, you troublemaker? Got corn, wipe your face over like corn all over your face. Because I'm coming in here to heal somebody. You can't heal nobody. It's the Sabbath. I'm going to heal some. Stick your hand out there. Stuck his hand out, healed his hand. But that's simply saying, when helping and when love gets in the way, when doctrines and rules and regulations get in the way of love, and it's of the devil. When that love manifests within you to touch people, break every rule, break every law, break every tradition, break it all. Don't make any difference. Break the law, break the rule, break the church laws, crash through the church, knock out the stained glass, sit down there and heal and help and lift people up to peace and love. Doesn't all that stuff's got to get out of the way? All that religious junk's got to get out of the way.
Sprouts Myth number 3. It's just another grocery store.
With fresh organic produce everywhere, it's a bit like a wellness retreat.
Sprouts Myth number 45. They don't carry the weird stuff I'm into.
Oh, we've got your weird stuff covered.
Sprouts Myth number 1. I'm not a Sprouts person.
If you like fresh finds and better for you discoveries, you're probably a Sprouts person.
Hi, I'm Joy, and I'm in my 50s. I love staying active and working out to keep up with my kids, but lately, plantar fasciitis has halted all of my activity. Thankfully, a friend told me about Roadrunner Sports. I went through their high-tech, perfect fit zone process, where they figured out custom insoles for arch support were just what I needed. Cushioned shoes are great, but custom insoles bring the magic. Now I'm back to being active, pain-free, and making more memories with the ones I love.
And that's what Jesus Christ was all about. You look at the book, you read about him, and you'll find a man that you never knew. You read about Jesus Christ, and you'll find a Buddha, you'll find a Krishna, you'll find a Zoroaster, you'll find a man that you never knew anything about, because those people have taken his words and twisted them, hoping that you'd never look in that book to see what he really said. When that man that they said, hey, he's coming back, riding a white horse, and the man himself says, the kingdom does not come as to be seen, because it's within you. They say, oh, ask Jesus to come into your heart. Jesus Christ himself turns around and says, my friends, don't ask me for anything. It's in your book. The Father loves you. You go right to the boss. Don't you ask me for nothing. And Jesus will intercede on your behalf, saith the preacher. And Jesus says, and I'm telling you something else, I ain't going to pray for you either. It's in the book. It's amazing to me, but you know what? They've depended on the same type of ignorance that was the part of their foundings coming out of the Dark Ages to still be with you now. That's why I say to you, go to the bookstores and read about Buddha, read about Krishna, read about Jesus, read about everything. Take down the stars, read about the stars, open yourself up, learn, seek, knock, ask. That's what Jesus said. Ask, seek. Don't just listen to somebody saying this is the way it is. Say that's not the way it is. I'm going to find out the way it really is and go look and seek and understand things. Open yourself up. Be part of things. That's right. So, you remember last week? What happened? We were teaching last week. Joey, were you here? Sure you were. I knew that. I just want to remember if you knew that. There's a lot of people sleep through this, or they go through these things. See, some of you people have been sitting here thinking of things this whole time, having these little escapades going on in your head. See, some of you have actually had a drama going on in your head. The whole time I've been speaking, you've been going through this little drama in your head. Haven't you, Andy? But last week, Andy, God said, listen, I'm inviting everybody to my son's wedding, but they ain't coming. See? They ain't coming to the real wedding. So you know what? Go out to the highway. And anybody you find sitting in the highway, you bring them in. Good or bad. I don't care. Doesn't make any difference what that person does. When that person finds the way within themselves up to the highway, the higher consciousness, the way into the right side, that spirit will grab you and take you into that wedding. It's like I said last week, I was sitting up there on the highway, right? Joe standing up there. Yeah, I'm bad, but I'm going to the wedding. Woohoo! I'm going to the wedding. Waiting for they ain't coming back in a big white horse, coming back in a big white stretch. Pull up there and say, get in the back there, Joe. Have yourself a little like new wine. I'm taking you to the wedding. Bring Linda if you want. See? Doesn't make any difference who you are. It doesn't make it. So get all the negativity of what you thought, the people, get all that negativity, flush it away. Go to the bathroom, stand up, put your head in there and flush all that negativity away. It won't hurt, just look at your hair a little wet. So put that, there it goes. It's all that negativity. Go negative. Woo! There's the negativity. Go. And dry yourself off. Come out and said, I am not negative anymore because Jesus Christ said, I am the light of the world. He dwells within me. He has showed me the upper room. He has showed me the door to the right side. And I got to sit in there. And it doesn't make any difference what your parents say. It doesn't make any difference what the government says. It doesn't make any difference what cops or it doesn't make any difference what religious people say. Inside of you is the kingdom of God. And inside of you is the doorway to nirvana, to the kingdom, to peace, to love, to a new you. That doesn't cost you a dime. Don't send anybody a penny to find that because it's free. Absolutely free. That's something else. That is something else. Well, how do you like that? We didn't even get halfway through this thing. Now we're going to do that next week. Stuff falling all over the place. Nobody cares. But look at that little baby back there. See that baby? I know that parent of that baby. That parent's never going to let that baby know anything about devils or demons or hell or any of that junk. Because those people, that parent knows where the upper room is. And that parent knows inside that baby, that spark. That's the first thing that baby's going to learn is that spark of life. It's the kingdom of God is within. We had to wait. Here, I had to wait until I'm 32 to find this out. Woo! So, I kidded with you today because I was in that kind of a move. But I think we got the point across. And I want you now to just take that same feeling of what you can do. If Jesus Christ is right, you actually could touch the right hemisphere of your brain and set off an explosion of vibration of peace and love that can change things in your house, can change things in you, can change things in your family. It doesn't make any difference what any doctor says, doesn't make any difference what any teacher says. This special thing is, because remember, that doctor and that teacher, they also only use 10% of their brain. You're going to that 90%. You're casting your energies to the right side, to awaken that cells on the right side. So all bets are off for the future. Now, many of you are going to see this tape months from now. I can't, not any prophet or predictor. I just know that what's going on in the universe, the movement of Uranus into Aquarius, this Aquarian age, this is a time of a coming of Christ and a new order, a new age, a new life, a new peace, a oneness of Christ. And that things are going to be right, and they're going to be set right. And those people who are going to continue to dwell in the lower are going to be shaken to their shoes by what's going to happen. That's why it's so important that you plug in and touch this energy that's coming. Do it in your house. Do it wherever you want. I'd suggest too that you come out here, get involved on a Tuesday night, and I'd like you to come out tomorrow night too, because to put the energy up to what's coming with this rack situation. But do that. You can do it in your own bathroom. You can do it in the car. You can do it in the car. Turn the radio off. Listen to the tires for about 10 seconds. Just focus yourself up there in that upper room. Just understand something amazing. Here's your head. There's a magnificent computer right inside of that head of yours. A computer that is beyond anything that's ever been created by IBM or anybody could never even conceive of the computer. And all that you and I have learned to use so far is the 10%. And actually, we haven't even learned to use that because that's been using us. And what God has told us and what the ancients and the mystics told us, what Krishna told us, what Buddha told us, what Jesus told us, was that on the right side is God's kingdom. And you start energizing the brain cells on the right side. Whew, that's life. That's the new life. That's what Jesus says. You who follow me into the regeneration, into this new age, begin to understand. Don't just go looking for a transcendental trip. You're going seeking the mind of Christ. And I'm telling you, it is in your head, waiting to be discovered. And all you have to do to discover it is shut down the left side and raise your consciousness and start activating the right side. And once you get up to that mountain, everything that you need for your new life and this new adventure and to plug into the universal harmony is already there. You don't have to do a thing. It's all there for you. Amen. Thank you.